Welcome to week 14, everybody. If you're new here, hi, welcome to This Cat Can Ball, the show where we feature one player each week who's largely been unknown due to either riding the bench for a long time, drafted late, or in some cases not even drafted at all. But they showed up this week and we're giving them their moment in the spotlight. Now, week 14, what does that mean? That means that the playoff picture is coming into focus now, and we're getting teams that are finally getting eliminated and teams that are securing their place, right? We even had a perspective look at the NFC Championship game with the Rams and the Cardinals, the Rams coming out on top. And the big question there was like, okay, should the Cardinals be worried about this? Or are the Rams poised to make that top spot theirs? And all season I've been going on about the Cardinals, and I'm still going on about them, and I'm not exactly too worried about this right now. And I'm saying I'm not worried, not because I think the Cardinals have the top spot locked up, but that it's actually probably going to be a different team altogether besides the Rams or even the Packers that's going to take the number one spot. Before I talk about that a little bit more, let's talk about the other conference, the AFC, another conference and another division rivalry, the Browns and the Ravens. The Browns came out on top. Granted, the Ravens didn't have Lamar Jackson, but no matter, I think the Ravens are still going to take the North, and it's probably still going to be the Patriots. They are riding just too much momentum with Bill Belichick and Mac Jones as their starting quarterback to be knocked from the top spot. So let's go back to the NFC really quick. The team that I'm seeing that's going to take it all as far as number one seed, I'm not talking about taking the Super Bowl, but taking the NFC top spot is going to be the Buccaneers, mainly because of the teams they have to play until the end of the season. We are officially done with bye weeks, which means every team has 4 games left in the season. And if you look at the 4 teams that are slated to be division champions, the Buccaneers, look at the last 4 teams they play. The only one that has a snowball's chance of hell of making the playoffs is the Saints. And that's the Saints that started the season, of course, without Drew Brees. They lost Jameis Winston. And Taysom Hill is, God bless him, he's trying his heart out, but he's not the answer for them. And they have Carolina twice. So I don't see anybody getting in the Buccaneers' way of running the table and securing a 14-3 season. Now, as far as the Cardinals, like I said, I'm not too worried. They only need one more win to secure playoffs. They're going up against the Lions. That's not a problem for them. The Packers, I don't see them having a problem. The Cowboys are 3-0 in their division with a 2-game lead over Washington. They're set. One team that didn't play, that I actually talked about last week, that I was picturing moving up into the playoffs, the Colts are slated now to be a wildcard team. They're coming off a bye week, and they do have a tough game this week against the Patriots, which really could be a preview of a big-time playoff game. So that's going to be one hell of a game to watch this coming Sunday. Not to make short work of the NFL playoff picture, but I wanted to talk a bit more about this week's cat that showed that he could ball. Now, I talked about players that have had times in the NFL. They've had years where they've had moderate success, caught a few passes, maybe scored a few touchdowns, got an interception or two. But the player that won this week is Craig Reynolds, the running back for the Detroit Lions. Now, let's talk about this guy, because this guy, he didn't come from a big-time school, didn't come from even a small school. He came from Kutztown College, Kutztown Golden Bears to be exact. I don't know where the school is. I had to look it up. It's a tiny school in Pennsylvania. Though he did have success, one can say it's mainly because he probably didn't play that hard of a competition level there, right? And like most of the cats, he didn't get drafted. He was actually invited to mini camps, which shows that, you know what, he probably did have a little bit of potential at first, right? So after stints with the Redskins, the Falcons, and the Jaguars, he finally ends up this season with the Detroit Lions. You know what's funny is that his nickname is Netflix. And the reason they call him that, because when he showed up to training camp during the preseason, everyone assumed that he was probably sitting at home binging Netflix when they called him. Like, seriously, that's how they got it. He got his nickname. And he even introduced himself to his teammates in the huddle of a preseason game. No lie. He suited up. People still didn't know who he was. He was on the sidelines. They didn't know who he was. He walked out onto the field. People see this guy coming into the huddle. They didn't even know who he was. He still proceeded to score a touchdown. Preseason game, but still, it shows that this cat still has potential. Even with that touchdown, he still didn't make the 53-man final roster. Now we go into week 14, and he finally gets called up, right? He suits up. Now you think about how far down a depth chart goes for an NFL as far as running backs go, right? Like, the number one running back was out. Was Craig Reynolds second? No, he wasn't second. Okay, well then he was probably third, right? Because most NFL teams usually have about 3 players on that running back depth chart. And no, he still wasn't their third. Well, how far down was this guy? Let me take a look. If you look online, he's not even listed on their roster. He was a serious emergency back that they had to get into the game. Now, before we get too carried away, the Lions lost, which is kind of no big deal. They're out of playoff contention. And what's kind of funny to me, maybe it's because I've just known football for so long, he wears number 46. There aren't very many good running backs that are numbered in the 40s, right? It's always the 20s and 30s, or in some cases, single numbers. But this guy is number 46. That doesn't bode too well for him. But he still did a good job. Going up against the Broncos, he carried the ball 11 times for 83 yards. And he had a 35-yard run, which might make you think, wait a minute, okay, that looks good because he had that one big run, right? But if you take that away, 10 carries for 48 yards, 4.8 yard average, that's good. That's an NFL starting caliber average yard per carry. That's good. And he's still so unknown that you look him up right now, whichever website you find that has him actually on the depth chart, he still has his Washington Redskins jersey on. Like they don't have a recent picture of him, you know what I mean? His Wikipedia page that like updates pretty damn often, they still have a Redskins picture of him. I think it's such a great story for him because he came from a tiny, like, not even like, you would think, okay, well, how small a school did he go to? He didn't go to a Big 12, didn't go anything like that. Was it like maybe Appalachian State? Was it Stephen F. Austin? We had a player just recently from Stephen F. Austin that went to the NFL. No, it wasn't that good. This is Kutztown College, the Kutztown Golden Bears. I never heard of them in my life. We'll probably never hear of them again. But he goes on to a team, a lowly team, the Lions, worse than the NFL. 4th on the depth chart. I mean, this guy is the lowest of the low, right? No offense to this guy, but that's about as low as it gets. If you're the 4th running back on the worst team in the NFL, chances are the Hall of Fame isn't, in your long-term plans. But he goes out and still puts up a good effort against a team. Broncos aren't amazing, but they still have that slim, tiny chance of making the playoffs. And Reynolds shows that, you know what? He can hang with them. Carried the ball 11 times. He even caught 2 passes for 16 yards. Not too bad. He made a solid contribution. Team didn't win, but it certainly wasn't his fault. So for the Lions that have really been just struggling all year, and their coach, who I actually like their coach, Dan Campbell, he's a real blue-collar guy. He has a strong work ethic. I'm pretty sure that when Craig Reynolds got called up, Dan Campbell looked back on what he did in the preseason. The coaches, they're like, are you sure you want to put this guy in? Dan Campbell said, yeah, I want to put Craig Reynolds in. You know why? Because
this cat can ball, man.
So that's going to wrap up the show for this week, folks. I hope you really liked it. If you do, make sure to hit like, comment, subscribe. Comments are always great. The interactivity is the best way I learn, and the show gets better. Be sure to hit the bell as well to be alerted when these come out. They do come out on a weekly basis, but in the event that you forget, the bell will alert you when they are available to view. So yeah, just one more time, like, comment, subscribe. I am Omar, and I will see you guys next week.